And welcome into Market Talk as we broadcast live from day one of the Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois. Good to have you with us here as we take a look at what is happening in agriculture and across the markets here on Market Talk. I'm your host, Jesse Allen. We have a lot to get to here on today's program. We are with our friends at Beck's. We are in their building on the southwest quarter of the grounds. 40W is the number if you're going to be here in Illinois this week. You can stop on by and see the folks in the Beck's building and have a conversation with them. We're going to be talking agronomy on the show today. We're going to be talking products. We are going to talk markets. Matt Bennett with agmarket.net is going to be stopping by to chat with us coming up here in the middle portion of the show. Kind of a quieter market trade on Tuesday, grain-wise, but we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about farmer sentiment. We'll look at the livestock sector as well. A lot to get to with Matt coming up here in just a little bit. And we're going to hear about his partnership with Beck's, him and the folks at agmarket.net. Let's kick things off, though, and talk agronomy. Joining us, he is field agronomist in Illinois. Drew Beckman is with us from Beck's. Drew, it's good to talk with you. Thanks for being here.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming.
Well, let's start with just an overall look at crop conditions and maybe a little bit about the territory you cover here in Illinois. Let's start there.
Yeah, so I'm the field agronomist for northwestern Illinois. So basically I cover Macomb up to the Wisconsin border and then Route 39 over to Iowa. So just kind of that long, slender bit in the northwest corner.
Okay, so how have things been this growing season? I know it's been kind of a mixed bag in some parts of Illinois, I guess I would say. How has your territory been when it comes to corn and soybeans?
Yeah, so our territory has really seen a broad spectrum of things. So when you go to the far western side along the Iowa line, some of those heavier clay soils, we had some issues getting crop up and out of the ground, as a lot of the areas had. We didn't really have the planting delays that the southern part of the state had, heavy rains, a lot of replant, a lot of delayed planting. We got in fairly timely, but we just had a few emergence issues that we had to deal with. But overall, the early portion of the season went by really well. As a lot of growers are experiencing now as we're getting into grain fill and into the later portion, it really comes back to the disease portion of the growing season. And we're seeing considerable disease in corn, tar spot, southern rust, right, have been moving further north than we really ever seen it in the past.
And talk to me about southern rust, because I've heard so much more about that. You know, I mean, tar spot's been a big challenge, but southern rust really this year has just been a massive issue for a lot of growers, Drew.
Yeah, and it is a very unique disease. So southern rust does not overwinter in the state of Illinois. It is blown up from the south, as per its name, but it is actually one of the few diseases that can really defoliate a cornfield and be fairly aggressive overall. So we've seen it move further north than we ever have in the past. We are seeing some hybrid differences and definitely some product fungicide differences as well as we're kind of moving through. But it's going to be impactful. I don't know if it's so much it's going to be impactful on yield. When I look at the disease level that we have in cornfields today, I've had a lot of questions on whether or not we need to go out and make another fungicide application. Thing that we could worry about is our late season intactness, whether, just so we don't cannibalize that stalk as we're trying to fill that ear. And now that we're into a thankfully cooler spell, but now that we are into a drier spell for the most part, that could be something to watch out for, is that as we try to fill that ear, we already have had some, reduced root mass. We've got some foliar disease, just so that our late season intactness doesn't fall apart on us.
Drew Beckman, field agronomist with Beck's here in Illinois, joining us on Market Talk today. What about the soybeans side? Talk a little bit more about issues there. A lot of times the old saying is August is the month to make soybeans. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that's totally true this year, just with the way the weather's been. I mean, what's your feeling on the soybean crop?
So when I just look at my territory specifically, we are in for what looks like a very great, a nice soybean crop. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have had timely rains. Plants are loaded. We are starting to see a little bit of sudden death syndrome developing late. That isn't concerning to me, especially if we're seeing it right now. I was taking my daughters for a ranger right here over the weekend. We're starting to see some beans begin to turn, which is kind of surprising. But I mean, we are getting later into their season, and especially if they're planting that early to part of April, which a lot of them were. We are seeing SDS show up. We are seeing foliar symptomology. In the southern part of my area, we are beginning to see some red crown rot moving north, so that is concerning for my territory as we continue to monitor how that moves north in the state. Overall, we're going to be really good. We just have a few problem spots here and there.
What can farmers expect heading into harvest? Let's talk about that. I mean, we're going to be rolling combines here before we know it. What are some things they need to consider? Maybe a checklist. What are those different priorities they need to be making as we get ready for harvest season?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing when I'm looking at into harvest this year, kind of going back to one of our earlier points, is just monitoring that late season intactness. I think that this crop is going to turn in a hurry because of just some of the stressors that we've had, these dry weather. And I think our corn crop is going to be variable. I think we're going to pull out of a lot of fields and be very happy. I think we're going to pull out of some fields and be very disappointed. And I think that's because with our hot nights, we haven't taken our foot off the accelerator. And we are seeing some tip back and other situations like that in certain hybrids, certain fields, because it was never had time to kind of relax and it was stressed out for such a long period of time. So I think just setting your expectation accordingly, monitoring what that crop is looking like out in the field, whether or not you need to go get it, knowing where things are kind of landing at there is going to be a pivotal part with just all the different factors that this crop has had to deal with.
And I know, too, a lot of times prioritizing what fields are going to go first. I know some folks, they make the plan and they're thinking, I'm going to take corn off first, and then that changes and you're taking beans off first, and then you're going back to corn. And I think the moral of the story there is be flexible when it gets to harvest season, right, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, I think flexibility is going to be key because we've also seen a trend, at least in my area, where we are moving even into some earlier corn hybrids. Sure. We're moving into earlier maturity beans, right? We're seeing that as we plant beans earlier, they don't need that elongated growing season or lifespan as we've seen in the past. So where we used to maybe plant 3.5s, now we're planting 3.1s, 3.2s, or 2.8s. And, they're going to be fit a little bit earlier than anticipated.
Final thoughts here as we get into the last minute or so of the show, or this segment, I should say. What do you really want to reiterate to growers as they gear up for harvest here? What's that top of mind thing they need to think about, or anything else you would want to add for folks here, Drew?
Yeah, I think, when we look back at 2025, really, it's going to be how was our operation able to handle some of the variability. So I think when we need to look at how did we manage for all the different stressors that we had? How did our operation respond to that management? Because I'm hearing a lot of different sentiment. I know Matt's going to talk about markets here a little bit later. A lot of the decisions that we're making is coming off of the market sentiment that we're in. Yeah. And I think we need to take note of, okay, if we didn't spray a fungicide this year, what did that cost us at the end of the day? And actually really be truthful and upfront about that, because I'm having conversations on pulling back nitrogen, pulling back dry fertilizer, doing all these different things, and maybe knowing the difference between high yield, profitability, and so on.
Drew, really appreciate the conversation. Thank you for joining us here on Market Talk and Farm Progress Show, and we will look forward to talking again down the road.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Drew Beckman, field agronomist for Beck's. We're going to talk markets with Matt Bennett from agmarket.net. Up next on Market Talk. And as we continue here on Market Talk today with our friends at Beck's Hybrids from day one of the Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois. Busy show day, a lot of foot traffic, beautiful weather, and a lot of great conversations. And we're going to be here all 3 days of the show. Looking forward to that. But let's continue our conversation with Beck's and talk about some of their recent acquisitions. And they've been doing something really cool the last several weeks. Technology Days. We're going to get a recap of that right now. Joining us, he is area team leader for Illinois with Beck's, Timothy Hartman. It's good to talk with you. Thanks for joining us here.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Jesse. Thanks for having us on.
As I mentioned, the show so far, I mean, just a great crowd, day one, and maybe we could start there. What can farmers expect when they stop by the Beck's booth, the Beck's building here during the show this week?
Yeah, one of the main things that we're talking about here today is our root reveal project. It's kind of our main exhibit here in the middle of the booth here. We have a live unboxing of that. Today we did one at 10:30 and we'll do one tomorrow as well. But we've been taking a pretty deep dive and looking at how different root architectures can impact corn products, whether it's management, fertility, placement, population. And so, it's pretty cool to see just the entire root structure of a single corn plant and what that can look like without any competition, grown in a place where we can look at it all at one time.
And I think that kind of ties in with Beck's standard, and the traits that you guys are bringing to market, and producers are finding that advantage, when it comes to working with Beck's and putting that seed into the ground on their operation.
Yeah, so historically, we've spent a lot of time when it comes to evaluating corn products, looking at the above ground characteristics, whether it's ear height, kernel depth, leaf architecture, so on and so forth. And so this is kind of a new way for us to evaluate products to try and better understand how we can manage them for higher yields, for better profitability, to ultimately help improve, our customers' return on their investment of the seed that they buy from us.
And I'm sure a lot of conversations you've had about that at Technology Days. Let's talk about those. And I understand it, 10 shows in 3 weeks' time all across the country. And I know it's a great opportunity for you and the team at Beck's to connect with growers and just have those conversations, have folks like Matt in to talk markets, like we just had him on the show. I mean, talk about Technology Days and what those are all about.
Yeah, Technology Days is an electric event. Everyone we have. So we added 2 new locations this year where we did shows, but the attendance year over year was up over 10%. We saw just shy of 25,000 people over the course of those 3 weeks.
Wow.
And it was just a great opportunity for us to connect with our customers, show prospects who we are, what we stand for, and then hopefully everybody that left with something that they could take back to their own farm. There's some sales there, but it's more so focused on the practical farm research that we're doing at each of those locations. We take customers out on tour buggies. We talk to them about past performance on our different trials that we've done. We talk about things that we're working on for this upcoming year, really trying to help them make better agronomic and financial decisions on their own operations. And it's just a really neat environment. It's one of my favorite things that we do here at Beck's, and our team that works on putting those together, it's kind of down to a science, and it's well-oiled machine, and all of them go super well, and everybody leaves really glad that they come. And it's one of those things that if you farm and you've never been to Technology Days, you're probably missing out.
And I think it ties in well with Beck's, the family environment of the company and the employees and more. And it's kind of like, it almost seems to me like going to a Technology Days is kind of like hey, come to our family reunion and maybe be a part of our family, right, Timothy?
Absolutely. So a large number of our leadership team, family members will fly out to all of the local shows. And so a lot of them are there, and they're just standing out in front of the registration booth, welcoming people as well. And then it's something special to be able to enjoy a meal with people. And that's a huge part of every show is being able to serve everybody a great meal and spend that time together.
And I know as well that you guys have been really expanding westward over the last several years. New acquisitions in Nebraska, Missouri. Talk about just the overall Beck's expansion westward.
Yeah, so the Beck family, the Beck business model is to, secure the infrastructure that we need to take care of the people in the states that we're serving from a sales standpoint. And so those were both opportunities that came available that may not have been, maybe didn't look the greatest from a short-term standpoint, but were acquisitions that provided great long-term return. And being a privately owned company gave us an awesome opportunity to put ourselves in a position to not only service farmers today and this year and next season, but for years to come. So very strategic locations from distribution, from dryer capacity, production and processing. Really just fortunate to be in the position that we have been to take advantage of those opportunities when they come along.
Well, and final thoughts, having that infrastructure and more out there across the country, folks want more information. They want to look at Beck's products and more. I'm sure online, beckshybrids.com. Their local Beck's representative, agronomist, dealer, et cetera. I'm sure a lot of ways to get more information, right, Timothy?
Yeah, those would be the top 2 places that I would point people to. And then our marketing team does a great job on social channels as well, would be a third place that you could get in contact with somebody from Beck's.
Yeah, definitely reach out, learn more, beckshybrids.com. Final, anything else you would add or reiterate to folks here? Final 30 seconds?
Yeah, no, really just enjoying time here at the show and having a great time talking to folks and having conversations about whether it's roots or practical farm research or our commitment rewards program. Kind of the billboard behind us here about the homegrown legacy. Just enjoyed being a part of this and seeing people and welcoming them here as well.
Well, if you're going to be at the show this week, stop on by and see the folks here at Beck's Hybrids. Timothy Hartman, thanks for joining us here on Market Talk to close things out for day one. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you.
And that is going to do it for day one of the Farm Progress Show for Market Talk here in Decatur, Illinois. Again, with our friends at Beck's Hybrids, beckshybrids.com for more. Tomorrow we'll be back for day two. We'll be with Gearinghoff. For now, though, we're out of time on Market Talk. I'm Jesse Allen. Have a great day. We'll talk to you.